Adam Friedman, Rivals.com, here with Ryan Brubaker of Cocalico High School in Pennsylvania, South Carolina commit. How are things going with the Gamecocks? When was the last time you were down there?
So we were just down there for the Eastern Illinois game for their home opening kickoff, and for playing an out of SEC team and just the conditions around it. And, I mean, we were impressed by the crowd that was down there, and I think attendance-wise it was somewhere around 65,000 out of 80,000, and people were just so energetic and excited. And I think a large reason that I'm committed there is because there's positive energy that's flowing through the program, and a lot of that stems from the fan base.
Yeah, well, they had an excellent performance on the field with the backup quarterback, the backup quarterback, I guess. What were your thoughts on just how the team played, especially up front on the offensive line?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people, that's the first place to critique, because I think offensive line and defensive line is one of the hardest things to understand for, a simple watcher, I mean. So I saw, I try to keep up on Twitter, and I know there are a lot of critiques of the offensive line, but I thought for their first game of the season, a lot of times there's always room to grow, and I thought they played well. I thought they played good against their opponent, but there obviously needs to be improvement to beat some of those big teams like Georgia, Kentucky, Missouri, etc.
Sure, yeah. Looking down the road, there's some big-time opponents coming up. Are you going to be able to get down there for some more games?
Yeah. So as it works out, we're kind of going bookends. So we went this previous weekend because we had a 4-day weekend, and then we're going to the Clemson game over Thanksgiving. So it's at home, and I imagine Gamecock Nation is going to be out in full force.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of guys there for sure. How about on the recruiting trail? I mean, the Gamecocks have some momentum right now. They're just picking up a couple of commitments. What are you hearing about who you think might be the next commitment?
Yeah, it's hard to tell because, I mean, for a while it was like we were spoiled. It was like every day somebody new was committing, and it slowed down a little bit once football season came around, because I think a lot of guys are taking their visits over football season. But I couldn't tell you who's next. We were talking the other night, like, who's it going to be? It's like Christmas. It's like opening a present. What's next? And I couldn't tell you who's going to be next, but I imagine that class is going to fill out pretty quick.
Are you working on some recruits out there, trying to sway their decision a little bit?
Before football season, I certainly was. I was talking to some of the guys who were, down to a Final 3 or Final 5 or, whatever. But since football season has kind of come, and there's not a lot of time between practice, film, team meals, schoolwork, and all that stuff. So I've taken a bit of a backseat unless they're asking me to get involved.
I got you. Okay, when you're talking with those coaches, what are some of the things they emphasize to you when you're thinking about your game?
Just a lot of it is moldability. The offense that we run here is the triple option, and that's obviously not what South Carolina runs. So in a way, I'm coming into college as a clean slate, and I can be taught however Coach Adkins sees fit. And for me, that's just as exciting because it's a little bit of a change on the game of football, and change of perspective offensively, and that was a big thing, as well as just some of the intangibles like height, arm length, stuff like that. So, yeah, it's exciting though.
Okay, good stuff. Are there some other teams out there still that are reaching out to you, trying to maybe get you on campus for a visit during the season, something like that?
There is every now and then I'll get an email from a smaller school who maybe doesn't follow me on Twitter, stuff like that. But as far as the bigger schools, especially my top 5 schools, I made sure to due diligence, call them after I commit or before I was committed, and say, hey, by the way, like we're going different directions, and I've had no issues with trying to shoo away other schools. That I think I've made it pretty clear that I'm happy with the Gamecocks, and I'm exuberant with the Gamecocks.
Okay, very good, very good. Well, we'll look forward to see what you think about that Clemson game down the road, and how what you think of that experience with all those recruits and that crowd. So, Ryan, thanks a lot for your time. Good job tonight.
Thank you.